matches in, only 2 more. Coming up next, we got Monsanto and Amnesiac. I'm not going to lie, TJ. I totally understand that Shaman likes to play that control style against a Druid, but you can't tell me that there's not a way for Drew to win that game. There's no way. I am not convinced. I am not convinced.
There is. Just kind of I don't know. I'm still thinking about all the specific turns that was the last match. But let's move on to the next one.
Oh, yes!
The full experience. Here we go.
Yeah. That is some high-level green screen you got there, Amnesiac. Is that Reynad, your college roommate, in the background?
He's actually not at college. He's just in his basement like he's always been.
Moving.
He just has a green screen.
His college roommate is sniping the stream 30 minutes behind.
Yeah.
Monsanto.
Oh, my God.
Reno Mage coming out here. Definitely an unusual choice. The only player this weekend bringing Reno Mage. Still got that Luna's Pocket Galaxy. Still good versus Warrior. But some things to note is that, you know, with the Reno Mage being played, it seems like it's still very good versus aggro because you're going to mulligan away Luna's Pocket Galaxy. Instead, you're going to prioritize Reno and Zephyrus and the usual good tools. One thing that I feel like is really important to this deck, surprisingly, is your early game plays like Volpera Scoundrel. And I think that a lot of control decks, TJ, in particular with classes with good AoE, they're starting to play Volpera Scoundrel a lot. Warrior has Volpera Scoundrel tech coming in, and I think that might be a gravitation to the future because control decks have realized they can't really afford to pass hero power past the first couple turns. They need to actually be doing something. Scoundrel gives you an opportunity to discover removal spells in a class that has a lot of them.
And also the way the meta is right now, there are some decks that will punish you if you don't have removal right on time. Priest being one of them. If you let something stick onto the board against Priest that has a large amount of health, you could die. And as we've seen many times throughout the day-to-day, so that can sometimes give you that little bit of an edge that you need to squeak out some wins in especially unfavorable matchups. But Priest opener for, I think, the 4th time today. I'm pretty sure we've seen a Priest in Game 1 in every Game 1 so far today. Not surprising, to say the least. But I'm curious to see how the Reno Mage is going to fare.
Okay, all right. So Priest versus the Mage. I mean, I think one thing that people have definitely complained about, I'm just going to use that word very lightly because it's still in the middle of exploration, but they said that there's not a lot of counterplay to Priest. And I think that one of the important things is transformative effects like, you know, Polymorph and Hex and whatnot. I was watching Wire play Control Shaman yesterday. Wire, a German Control Shaman enthusiast, loves playing that. Almost kind of like Fibonacci and Warrior and Zealot and Priest. Mm-hmm. Every time he hexed a Northshire Cleric or something else, Psychopomp kept reviving it back. It happened like so many times in a row that it started shocking me because there was like 5 other minions dead, but he just kept reviving the Hex Frog. And of course, it's something that feeds into it. The more the Hex Frog dies and it has reborn, there's more frogs in the pool.
You can still kill somebody with a frog.
You can. I'm just telling you that there is some counterplay.
There is some counterplay. Players haven't explored Tinkmaster over Spark either.
Oh, yeah. Psychopomp of 5/5 sounds great.
It's always a Spark.
A little bit of a production test. Looks like Monsanto accidentally DC'd, so we'll be momentarily into the game. We did mention the Reno Mage and Priest. The rest of the lineup here from Monsanto: Quest Druid, Control Warrior, Combo Priest, Reno Mage. Amnesiac with the same 3: Quest Druid, Control Warrior, Combo Priest, but Zoo Warlock. And you heard that Saiyan was preparing with Amnesiac, and Saiyan really likes Zoo. Amnesiac likes Zoo. Do you like Zoo, TJ?
I love Zoo a lot. Practice
Thank you. I love you too.
I can't make hearts with my hand. I'm not flexible enough. It looks like a potato.
You lack the finger dexterity, even after all the Hearthstone practice.
It looks like a potato. Dan, I potato you.
Turn up me. Monsanto going to be on the Reno Mage. Looks like we can't get his webcam online, even though it was working a second ago. Mm-hmm. Amnesiac with the priest start that sends shivers down your spine. Psycho Pump and no minions. That's a chuck. We don't keep any of that. Monsanto,
No way.
So Monsanto has the early Twilight Drake and Conjurer's Calling, and I kind of wonder if you want to hold on to that. There are better cards to start off with, like Doomsayer comes to mind for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Frostbolt, of course, is another consideration, given that you can shut down early game minions. But I was very afraid of this matchup. I climbed a lot, I tried to climb a lot with Monsanto's Reno Mage deck. And I matched up against a handful of Priests, and I lost. Not surprising. Even before the patch, Priest was designed to kill the Mage. But, ooh, that Doomsayer is super big. Wow, that's a big draw. Either way, the point that I'm getting at, TJ, is even though it was a bad matchup for Priest, I felt like I still had a lot of game for some reason. I'm not exactly sure why. I was like, there was moments where I just almost won a lot.
Almost is not enough.
Almost is not enough, but it was like, wow, if I survive one more turn, I had like either direct damage from hand or
if I had one more tech card or something along those lines.
Yeah, or like if like I had a little bit more life, they didn't have like the exact damage to kill me type thing, and then I had like big plays because I had like either played Pocket Galaxy or I had Blizzard and Doomsayer, things like that. And maybe it's wishful thinking, like, oh yeah, you didn't really have a chance, but I feel like Reno Mage is just underestimated.
Yeah,
that's kind of the point that I'm driving at.
So was Reno Hunter, honestly. Highlander Hunter. It seems like a trend, Daniel.
Yes.
Oh, it seems like a great Doomsayer to me. Topsy-Turvy and Silence both punish it, but it's going to punish it for the rest of the game. So you might as well try and get some value out of this while you can. Obviously, Amnesiac can attack into it, heal it up. Still get value out of the Northshire Cleric, at least somewhat. But it seems reasonable to me. If you have an empty board, you can roll into Arcane Intellect on 3 and try and find those big removals like Polymorph, Conjurer's Calling, also very useful. Voodoo Doll.
The end is coming!
Rock and roll.
Yep. Amnesiac unhappy, no inner fire, but he can draw a card and still get a way to bail himself out of here.
Yep.
It's unlikely, though. Amnesiac messaged me after last weekend. He said, damn, I didn't get to play a weekend of Hearthstone. Or this weekend, rather, I did not get to play Hearthstone. He has a lot on his mind about climbing back out of the 1-3 hole. But there's also another thing, is that I feel like Amnesiac has one of the better competitive mindsets. Even though he's one of the youngest players, it's very interesting, given that usually youth is associated with lack of control of emotion. But Amnesiac's one of the most composed, I feel like, when it comes to the big stage.
Yeah.
Does not find Silence, does not find Topsy-Turvy. Amnesiac lost his early game Cleric, and that fast start now looks a little silly.
Yeah, and Monsanto gets to kind of capitalize on this. Not with development, but with draw. And Voodoo Doll and Polymorph picked up.
Oh my goodness, it's
happening.
happening.
Yikes.
Yeah, I mean, the deck has a lot of removal.
Yeah, it does.
And if Monsanto picks up Reno, the Relicologist, I'd argue that Monsanto is heavily favored from that spot.
Yeah.
He's already in a good spot here. So Amnesiac has a 50% chance of reviving Northshire Cleric with Psycho Pump, but is that what he wants?
Must consider.
He can invest Injured Blade Master into the pool, for example. Or, alternatively, play a couple of 2-mana minions. On turn 4, the most threatening thing usually from the Reno Mage is the Twilight Drake.
I must consider.
Which is pretty threatening, but honestly, this priest deck is pretty one-dimensional, and I think that Amnesiac's going to realize that he just needs to kind of get stuff on board and fight.
Zephyrus.
I mean, this is just everything you could ever want. Yeah. Outside of Reno, the Relicologist, this is the juice.
Yeah, Monsanto is drawing the right half of the deck. That is part of the thing about the Highlander decks, is that it's so hard to account for the range of possibility. However, in the defense of Monsanto, His deck is like 20 anti-aggro cards, Luna's Pocket Galaxy, and some top end to go over the top of control decks. In fact, I'd argue that there's even more than 20, maybe like 25 cards. I think the cards that are good against the control are like Archmage Antonidas, Caligos, Alexstrasza, and like Power of Creation.
Yeah.
Everything else is like often used as a defensive tool. Coin into Zephyrus, which offers him SI7 agent.
Ha, this guy's toast.
Seems like he was specifically catering his Zephyrus to hit the SI7 agent.
He knows that Cleric has died in the pool, so he's playing around a Psychopop Northshire Cleric Pyromancer situation.
Yeah. It's pretty smart.
Is that one of the smartest plays I've seen?
I
like
mean,
all season?
if we're going to give him the credit for that specifically.
He coined Zephyrus. He didn't just play Zephyrus and he could have coined out a 3-drop. He was manipulating the mana usage.
He also could have picked Edwin Van Cleef.
Sure, but 6/6 isn't... Well, 6 is still pretty good. But he picked the SI7.
Yeah.
I can't really think of too many other 3-mana minions or 3-mana classic cards that you'd want, right? There's the Wild Growth, the Animal Companion, the Brightwing that's offered sometimes.
Quickly.
There's just like Betrayal or Eviscerate opportunities.
I'll give him the benefit of that one. That was a very smart play. And Monsanto can continue this trend of making Psychopomp incredibly weak.
Although, this does look like a better Voodoo Doll turn than it does Polymorph.
It does.
And if it does, Amnesiac has the Psychopomp prepped and ready to go.
Yeah.
So it's sort of a misalignment of opportunities. Amnesiac's like, okay, I kind of know that this is going to die, and I want Psychopomp to revive something big. And he's ready to go with that. Plus, Voodoo Doll being used means Monsanto has a little bit less removal. That being said, if Amnesiac hits something big, he just polymorphs the reboard minion.
Yeah.
Not a big deal.
Not a big deal. So, Wild Pyromancer, Northshire Cleric,
The end begins.
Blade Master. Hits the Northshire Cleric. Hits the Northshire Cleric once his Wild Pyromancer is gone, which means that there's not great ways for him to get value off this. I mean, it dies on board to just SI7 agent and a ping.
Right, and if he plays a Divine Spirit, he's invested one of his best tools into a minion that's going to get polymorphed. Ouch, TJ.
Yeah.
I think this is game over right here.
This is brutal. This is really brutal.
Monsanto having every answer.
I mean, I don't think I fault him for going with the Divine Spirit play. Honestly, his hand kind of says you kind of got to all in.
Right.
Because what is he going to do with an Acolyte of Pain and an Efferset Ritualist without him another minion on board to kind of help?
Okay.
Psychopomp is decent amount of reload.
Yeah, now, if he hits the 4/7...
But now he has a sheep in the pool.
Yeah, he does have a sheep in the pool, and he's now coming up on Monsanto's strong turns as well. Keep in mind, only one cleric has died.
Yeah, the other one was transformed into a sheep and then killed.
He can also topsy-turvy the 3/2 to make sure that it can't attack the Northshire cleric.
Yeah. Or at least like guarantee that something survives to draw him cards.
Yeah, that being said, the Tiamat here will clean also even more up. And Monsanto can almost close his eyes and play out the rest of this game here, it looks like.
Yeah, this is a pretty brutal priest beating. We've seen both sides of how polarized priest is today. Where a couple times it's got crushed, and a couple times it's won on turn 5.
Power Word Shield here for Amnesiac.
Oof.
Aha, I think he's going to call it here soon.
Yeah,
There's
that.
not much you can do.
Oh man.
You can topsy-turvy, clear off a little bit of that damage, but this is looking real bad. I think Amnesiac's just looking for his outs. He's looking for an opportunity to maybe swing if he picks up, say, a Northshire Cleric. He does have a lot of Circle of Healings. What does the world look like where Amnesiac hits Northshire Cleric and draws the exact, like, 3 or 4 cards that he needs?
I wonder.
And then what? He needs to stick a board with Ahmet, dodge removal, freeze,
Quickly.
and somehow combo it, considering he's only to use the Divine Spirit. I mean, that play doesn't seem like it's a game-winning play.
Yeah, I think Monsanto has a real chance to press in here. In fact, I actually wonder if Monsanto wants to just play Pocket Galaxy versus Develop. Develop seems really good because then you get ahead of the minions. And I think most people's first instinct is, yeah, I'm just going to play stuff like maybe Tortillon, Pilgrimist into the Power of Creation, or maybe just like double 4-drop. Those are all fine and well. Just, what does the world look like when you have Pocket Galaxy invested and even if Priest nut draws, you win the game.
And Witchwood Piper can pull Calicos, right?
Yeah, Witchwood Piper gets better. Magic Trick into Arcane Intellect gets better too. Because I think you can Magic Trick first. In this case, he's going for the Scoundrel first.
I'm gonna win big.
Time runs out on me.
All right, Pyroblast is lethal in 2 turns.
Yeah, Snap Freeze is removal, but he senses weakness here. Ah, man.
Vaporize.
All face attack secrets. Vaporize is kind of his insurance just in case things kind of get away from him. But I don't think there's any way out for Amnesiac here. Looks like he's dead. He can't interact with the Seamont in a reasonable way. The Pyroblast is, well, it's not active next turn, but...
Yeah, next turn, if he Topsy-Turvies, there is 8 damage with the Tiamat plus the 4 of the other 2 minions, which is 12. Ajax sees it's not Spellbender or Counterspell. Seeing it to the bitter end.
Yep. I mean, Monsanto can't really just do anything here, as long as he attacks his minions to face and doesn't Tortollan Pilgrim into Yogg's puzzle box.
Right.
I mean, even then, he could Tortollan Pilgrim into Yogg's puzzle box and still.
Mm-hmm. Knows he's perfectly fine, doesn't have to play anything else. And he's just like, all right, your next turn. This last turn was pretty much a formality. And that, even this full combo isn't enough.
Yep.
I've got more left in me.
This does help him what looks like to live on board. But Monsanto with a overwhelming series of draws and showing you why Reno Mage can handle the aggression. It has the tools. Something that Firebat is screaming from the rooftops. Saying Reno Mage is a lot better than people give it credit for. It is the lowest win percentage on Aegis Replay for a class right now. Mage at tier 4. It's actually not even in tier 3 right now. It's at like 40s, like low 40s in terms of its win percentage. It's not good. It's largely because I think most people who play the Mage right now are playing Cyclone Mage, and Cyclone Mage's win percentage is super bad right now.
Cyclone Mage relied much more on Conjurer's Calling than Reno Mage does.
Yeah.
And it has, like, no removal. Like, none. 0.
Well, intentionally. They could put Snap Freeze and other removal.
They could, and they could get removal from Mana Cyclone, sure.
They just choose not to.
They just choose not to. So
whose fault is it, TJ?
Mana Cyclones.
No. it's Ixar's fault.
Okay.
Let's go and take a break, and when we come back, we're going to have Amnesiac versus Monsanto game number 2. Stay tuned.
Shadows are rising again, darker than they've ever been. As evil descends from the skies, the world cries out, how will we survive? Out of the hall of explorers, and up from the dusty tombs, they grab their whips and fedoras. These legends of the past know exactly what to do. There might be magic monsters, mummies in the markets, and ancient mysticism. There's surely scorching deserts, adventure, monster of narcissism. High stakes think annihilation, obliteration of civilization. Now is the time to be brave, evil's come to enslave, but this league's gonna save the world.
Hi, I'm Monsanto. I came up with the username Monsanto. I was in high school. It's from the company Monsanto, the big evil corporation. One of my teachers hated that company so much that at the end of the year he told us, well, if you didn't learn anything from my class, it's okay, as long as you remember that you should hate Monsanto. And that was like such a big thing to hear from your teacher, and I just immediately changed all my usernames to Monsanto. My best Hearthstone Esports memory was in 2016 in summer prelims when I was facing Dude 7597. I was completely losing on board as Druid against the Zoo Warlock. I had played 5 spells during the game, then I jammed the Yogg-Saron on. It cleared his board, built myself a board, and the next turn I had double Savage Roar for lethal. What makes me special as a player, I think, is I try everything. I try every possibility in decks. I try new things. And so when there's something that went under the radar, there's a big chance that I actually found it and I can bring that deck. Being in Grandmasters means a lot to me. Being able to just compete another full year of Hearthstone, that was a really big thing for me. I want to win the whole thing. That's my personal goal.
I'm Will Barton. I'm also Amnesiac, the young savage. I was Amnesia SC for like 3 years. But since I didn't have a microphone when I started playing Hearthstone, everyone was just like, oh, it's Amnesiac. And I was like, no, but there was no mic. So I was just like, yes, okay. So I think my experience for Grandmasters was different from a lot of people, because in my mind, there was just never any way I wasn't gonna be in the league. I've been top 5 in points in North America for like 4 years now or something, 3 or 4 years. I have a big presence online. I think people get excited when I come onto streams and watch them. I'm somebody people can kind of get behind. So in my mind, when they announced Grandmasters, I was like, all right, let's do it. In terms of Hearthstone, I still really think that I have what it takes to be one of, if not the best players in the world. And I really intend to put in more work than I did last year and be more disciplined. I think I got a lot better at using my time over the past year, and I want to apply that skill and show people just how good I can be.
Monsanto up 1-0 over Amnesiac in what could be another fast series. We're going to go to the Priest versus Priest. 2-0s across the board, TJ. And you know what? I'm watching the chat right now to see their reaction to the Race versus PNC game, and I got upset again during break. I don't know why I do it to myself.
No, I don't know why
it's
you
totally
do
my choice to consume internet content, and yet I choose to be upset.
I mean, that's what the internet's for.
Yeah. They wisely pointed out that the Oasis Surger plus Zephyrus gives you Savage Roar in that position, so he had lethal. We're thinking about ways you could manipulate the Zephyrs, right?
Ah, yes. Okay.
It was a really good spot. I mean, people who play that deck a lot know that interaction. So I think Orange is the one who's tweeting it out. So shout out to Orange. I mean, he's the one who's been singing praises about Quest Druid since even before it released. And everyone's like, Quest Druid, yeah, right.
Are
And
you
then,
sure?
I'm not 100% positive, but I'm pretty sure Zephyrs would give you that chance because then the 2 Oasis gets 12 damage through the 0-11 taunt, and then everything gets Savage Roar. So Zephyrs should be able to recognize lethal at that spot.
Okay. Yeah.
Or even like Power of the Wild, I think would have been lethal too. Zephyrs would have offered you something.
Because they're 5/6s.
Yeah.
The damage is weird.
No, they're
though.
5/6s and they would have been 6/7s, and then both of them could have went to the Oasis, to the 0-11 taunt on Doomsayer, and then it was gone. Either way,
Oh yeah, no, you're right.
we're focused on the past, and
Yeah.
the reason why we highlight it is because that was probably the most interesting game from a perspective of both the highs and the lows.
Yeah.
Let's go to the Priest Mirror. Did both players start with the Northshire Cleric in hand? I think they did. No, it was
no.
Monsanto got the Powered Shield. That was another one
Yeah.
card. Ooh. Well,
Oof.
world of difference.
Yeah, this is quite rough. Going first, missing a 1-drop, and then your opponent going second and having the 1-drop is tough because then they're essentially operating a mana above you because they can utilize the coin early on.
Yep.
And it's really like turns 1 through 4 that are the most impactful in this matchup. There's exceptions, obviously, when neither player has Northshire Cleric or 1-drops, and you're kind of just fighting for board and trying to maximize your health on board. Yes, that's when it becomes different, but this is when it can get out of control.
Looks like Amnesiac has what many people consider to be one of the better opening hands in Priest with Injured Tol'Vir and Northshire Cleric because it just synergizes so well. Tol'Vir protects the Cleric, Cleric heals and draws a card off the Tol'Vir. The Gruesome Twosome.
In the light's name.
I think it's the right call. I think Northshire Cleric is really threatening, so you utilize the Tol'Vir, where the more your opponent heals, the stronger your minion gets. Really, really good observation from Monsanto to try to fight back here on the board. If Monsanto sees Amnesiac plays the Injured Tol'Vir, how does he choose to punish it, though? Because
That's the big question.
the heal and the attack doesn't exactly line up the
Yeah.
right way.
The only thing is that Amnesiac
Doesn't attack.
Doesn't attack. I mean, it's a pretty simple play. But you just hold with the Northshire Cleric, and smart play by him. He does get punished by Inner Fire, but Monsanto does not have Inner Fire here.
And even if he did, he had a backup plan, Coin Psychopomp.
Yeah. So he can actually... Not quite.
So he would like want to injure Tol'Vir and like heal, but he does, and he gives his opponent a card, and he doesn't even get past a 2/6. This is starting to get real messy here for Monsanto.
Yeah.
I'd argue that he might have to concede the fact that his opponent's going to draw cards. And I think he just has to bite the bullet here, maybe tempo. He has a way to go for massive tempo. Injure Tol'Vir, not the Cleric, the Light Warden, and then try to go for big heals.
Ooh.
But by doing so,
You give your opponent 2 cards.
you're giving him too much.
And initiative.
You're giving him too much initiative. Maybe it's just something simple like Divine Spirit and pass.
In the light's name.
Ooh, boy.
Also
So-
tough for Amnesiac, though, because if he heals, he makes the Northshire Clerics bigger.
I find the risk acceptable. You get to draw more cards, and you get to have board presence. Technically, you still contest them. It's just that the double circle of healing, I wonder if there's a way for Monsanto to draw lethal next turn.
You sound like a mob boss there. Yes,
dies, he dies.
I find the risk acceptable.
You've got yourself a deal.
Sorry, I got tripped up.
I'm actually somewhat scared for
In the
Amnesia.
light's name.
The Ritualist here draws 2 cards. I almost want to coin out this BB sidekick.
Depends what he picks up, because it's also making his own Light Warden big.
Right. The double circle field. If he picks up a Wild Pyromancer, TJ,
No,
there's
it's
no
not
way.
enough. He
Each
could,
minion would be +2 health. There's 7 minions on the board, plus 14 for each circle of healing.
oh, it would be enough.
It would be enough. If he picked up
So-
Wild Pyromancer, he had lethal, TJ. What do you think about that?
All right, so he would trade the 5/4 over.
No. He would play the Pyromancer, Divine Spirit, anything on his side of the board.
And then he'd have to trade 1.
Yeah, trade 1, no, you just Divine Spirit and just Circle of Healing, and then you just attack and attack.
Yeah, because 1 would go through the Intertolvir.
He would have lethal if he picked up that.
Also,
That's insane.
he would force his opponent to draw 12 cards.
Sure.
Cool.
You milled him and you killed him.
Yeah.
The mill and kill.
Wait, no, it wouldn't be 14. It would be 7 because only 1 can get through.
Yeah, per circle of healing.
Oh, yeah. You're right.
Would have been ridiculous.
Must consider.
Divine Spirit seems pretty strong here. I mean, that's what your hand's telling you to do. You go for it. Circle now? Oh, see, the thing is, now you just give your opponent a clear by just healing. Actually, it gave it to it either way. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because that Light Ward on the right, for some reason, I thought had more than 1 health, but does not. So Amnesiac can clear this in a couple of ways. He would heal his opponent's minion, though. That's kind of the fancy one. You heal the 5/1.
Northside Cleric, heal the 5/1, trade.
Yes.
Beaming Sidekick or Power Word Shield with the remaining mana? Or both?
I must consider.
The world is his oyster.
Is
It is.
someone
It
injured?
really is. And the more I think about it, for some reason I thought Beaming Sidekick gave more than just +2 health. This is the only way to clear, it looks like to me. Quickly.
Hey, I got you, friend.
Monsanto with a completely useless hand.
Make that even more completely useless.
Amnesiac can revive with the Psycho Pop or go for Injured Blade Master Heal. I think the Injured Blade Master Heal makes more sense. 4 attack is still very hard to deal with for the Priest. It always has been, and it always will be.
In the light's name.
Although,
Will it always?
Truth be told, it doesn't really matter about the 4 attack because it's not like Monsanto has Shadow Word Pain or Shadow Word Death.
More Forbidden Words.
Yeah. No removal, really, outside of Wild Pyromancer.
Ooh, nice draw off the top. Empress Ritualist. And he's making the Light Warden get bigger.
So I think at this juncture, Amnesiac says he's drawing cards and then he's just passing. What do I have to be careful about? And it's purely Wild Pyromancer and clearing your Light Wardens and other things like that. So Amnesiac might be considering slowing down the development, maybe just hero powers and passes.
Yeah.
I think I would like a Power Word Shield. Oh. I think I would like a Power Word Shield in case he does hit Interfire now. Maybe on the Light Warden?
Yeah, to play around Wild Pyromancer.
Yeah.
You know, or just go all in on 1 minion. That works too.
Yeah, I just don't want it to run into silence. So if I play Divine Spirit here, I feel like that is asking for trouble.
Yeah.
Hey, I got you, friend.
So I want his last draw effectively here. And that's it. You can't
Yikes.
you can't deal with it. He can Topsy-Turvy and Inner Fire as a way to mitigate some of the damage.
Yeah.
Really not going to do much here. That's it.
That'll do it.
Divine Spirit, Topsy-Turvy. Amnesiac closes out game number 2. And, you know, this is... there's been a couple of non-games back and forth. Not really much going on. You can see Amnesiac, like, not even, like, super satisfied with that kind of win. It's like, he didn't really outthink Monsanto much.
No.
You didn't really get to outplay him. But that happens. And when you play a mirror and you have a card as defining as Northshire Cleric, it does tend to do that case.
Yeah, the most defining play was him not attacking with his Northshire Cleric on turn 2, which...
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, that's in the case of Priest, that's a pretty simple play for the matchup when a Light Warden's on board. So not really too much there, but it is our first game 3 of the day, which, you know, that's a little bit of a bonus.
Yeah, it seems like almost every America's player is just on the Combo Priest train, which I don't believe Combo Priest is an infallible deck. On the contrary, I think it actually has a couple of notable bad matchups. But yet, because it becomes like a thing where everyone believes it's the best, everyone brings it, everyone bans the same or protects the same, it kind of becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So we might just see a Priest off this weekend in Americas. Meanwhile, in Asia Pacific, it is the wild, wild East. 13 unique lineups, including Mech-Cthulhu Warrior, Highlander Zoo Warlock, Malagos Druid.
Oh, yeah.
Quest Paladins all around. A lot of Reno Hunters. It's fun times over in Asia Pacific.
Which has kind of always been the case. You know, one of my favorite playoffs to cast back in the days of playoffs so long ago it was Asia Pacific. It was at a weird time zone, but not as weird as Europe for us since we cast it from Americas.
You know what it is, TJ?
What?
Because Europe and Americas like each other too much. They like each other too much. They share ideas very freely. They practice all together. They all bring the same thing.
And they have a jolly old time frolicking through the fields.
They do. I mean, they do. If the fields were random music festivals in Korea. Monsanto on the Priest gets the Northshire Cleric in the Ritualist.
Amnesiac gets the Quest and an Evil Totem.
Golden Quest.
Yeah.
What does Shaman need to do to win this game, TJ?
Have Earthshock in their deck?
He does not.
He does. Draw it before you die. And then your work is not done there. You need to somehow wrestle control of the board early, which is very difficult to do because you're playing small minions that don't necessarily match up against the early plays from your opponent. Oftentimes, you can just coin Injured Blademaster Circle of Healing, and that'll win you the game against a lot of Shamans because they just don't remove anything.
Injured?
An outlier, I think, is Muzzy's match from earlier, where he, ETC missed like turn 1 and 2, and then tried to play something on 3 and go all in with it. And by that time, Muzzy had been able to accrue resources on the board. But Monsanto, you know, he didn't even miss his turn 1. So now he gets to coin Injured Blademaster Circle of Healing. He can even attack into this Evil Totem to bank on an extra draw.
And kill the totem, by the way, at the end.
And kill the totem with the Topsy-Turvy.
So does he have a box slasher play?
Or just a lackey play. And this is where the trap kind of falls into. Monsanto can just keep removing the board and healing to draw cards until eventually he draws into Divine Spirit and can start putting on the heat. So Amnesiac's hope here is to build a wide enough board to
Maybe
try and fight back.
Well, what he could do is actually pass, and then Mogu Flesh Shaper and eat the 1/3 next turn with the 3/4. But I guess if he's going to accept that he's going to lose the board, he can try to develop a little bit.
Yeah. The problem with that play, if Monsanto just doesn't play anything, like no minions, Mogu Flesh Shaper's still 5 mana.
Well, he did have an opportunity to, I think, pick up a faceless lackey? No. Did not.
I hope you like my invention.
Ooh, does have the weaponized wasp, but it's going to be overloaded. I think he was hoping for a goblin lackey to trade to the 1/3 as well, so. Or another kobold lackey. So
Yeah.
Amnesiac had a decent amount of
Is
hits.
someone injured?
Second cleric. Starting to get real bad here. But wait, if Monsanto goes face with his 4/7, which I don't know if he will.
Then he can kill off one Northshire cleric.
He can kill off both, can't he? He can play the Kobold Lackey, then the Mogu Flesh Shaper,
Oh yeah, he can.
and then kill off both. And then all of a sudden, card draw shut off, but then Psycho Pomp.
I wonder.
I don't know if Monsanto actually wants to Psycho Pomp the 1/3s. Good trade.
Very good trade.
Oh, excellent trade.
Oh, jeez.
I want to kind of give credit where credit's due. We do come down on players, and we do point out good plays, but I got to say that Monsanto consistently has been in the upper echelons of technical play in Americas. I see him play very well, very often, and I got to say that he's top 3 in Americas right now. I've very rarely been disappointed by his choices.
I mean, you said that about Saiyan earlier. And then immediately he disappoints. But yes, Monsanto, the SI7 agent playing game 1, just consistent play overall. And I mean, look how big of a swing that could have been if he didn't trade that 1/1. It would have been Goblin Lackey, trade over the 1/1, or Goblin Lackey, Mogu Flesh Shaper, kill both Northshire clerics, then mutate the Mogu Flesh Shaper.
Yes, it
to
could have been
potentially
game
get,
ending.
yeah.
If I'm Monsanto, I'm pretty tempted to at least think about some kind of inner fire play this turn.
I must consider.
Yeah, no, it's completely right. That 1/1 trade into the Novice Engineer made all the difference in the world.
Yep.
And it's not exactly an obvious attack. I've seen way too many people ignore that possibility. And it might seem like, yeah, if you just trade that, of course you see it. But when you're like presented with that kind of information, like, it's just a 1/1. And I want to keep that 1/1 because then I have the Northshire Cleric to draw cards later, right?
Yep.
Move quickly.
So now he can't play around the Flesh Shaper. And now Amnesiac finally gets the swing he's looking for.
All right. Can Mogu Flesh Shaper, Kobold Lackey evolve? Mutate, whatever.
Yes. Unfortunately, based off the way things look like they're sequenced, he can't.
I wonder.
Or can he take out the 4/8 instead?
No.
Doesn't look like it. It's only 5 damage to the Wasp and the Lackey. Is it better to Flesh Shaper and evolve? Yeah, it is. It is. I'm like, or go for the weaponized Wasp and try and win back tempo that way. Because one thing you can do is Kobold Lackey, weaponized Wasp, evolve with the Witchy Lackey, save the Flesh Shaper for the following turn.
That's actually a reasonable line.
There's little time.
He is 3 out of 6 too, so he would be using 3 Battle Cries.
Mortals are so squishy.
Oh, he's gonna double evolve. Gets the Gruul.
Job done.
Is he going for King Crush?
Jiraxis. I mean, that's a beefy minion. You're not getting rid of that thing anytime soon.
No, but it's not contesting anything anytime soon. That's the problem. I think if I see Gruul, I stop. Unless he thinks that his best chance to win is specifically going for King Crush to kill off the 4/8.
That's a really low chance. There's a lot of like 9 drops that are kind of meh.
Yeah, and there's like the difference between the average 8 drop and the average 9 drop is not that large. It's been brought down because of things like Heroic Innkeeper, you know, at a 4/4 and at 8. But it's really not that much of a difference.
It's true. Gruul would have been an 8/8
It would have been an
gains
8/8.
+1/+8 at the end of each turn.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with the Gruul.
Yeah. And if he was going for King Hair specifically, he didn't leave himself much time to react to charge in. His turn ended kind of right as he did that. He probably would have had enough time to attack, but...
One thing to note, Amnesiac's quest is 4 out of 6. Yeah, ignore that Jiraxis. Even if it was Gruul, he'd still be in trouble, TJ. Well, that's funny. Now, even if he gets Living Monument,
The silence is there.
silence is there. I think he needs to get a lackey. It would have to be Questing Explorer, Evil Cable Rat, or Sludge Slurper into an Earthshock. And that would have to be... That would have to be Babbling Book at the 2016 World Championships level
It's the right way.
of series of events there. That's a dead draw. He needs to get a Taunt Totem, and he needs to evolve into a Taunt.
Yep.
It's the only way he can survive. And even then, I think he's dead because of the Pyromancer silence plays.
Is Living Monument a higher amount of taunts than 3-drops? I don't think so. No, it probably is, because there's not that many 10-drops, so it's a pretty high percentage relative. There are a lot of 3-drop taunts.
I'm looking at it, and I don't see a Muzzy level of escape here.
No.
Amnesiac. And that's going to do it. 16-16, unstoppable force. Monsanto takes the victory 3-2. And that is going to do it.
Yeah.
Small differences. Imagine he does end up getting the early game board taken away from him. I wonder what would have happened, but Monsanto did have the Divine Spirit to enter fire. And once again, goes to show you the importance of No Shadow Cleric on 1.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great card. And even if you don't have the turn 2 extra arms follow-up, with Beaming Sidekick, you can still fight for board almost as aggressively. And the deck's still, it's still kicking.
Yeah. And also why it looks really overpowering in these kinds of strategies, but these are the decks that Priest is designed to kill. Maybe another vote in the camp of can we beat the Priest, or are we just going to adopt the Priest, or can we do both?
Yeah. Yep.
All right, we're going to go ahead and check in with Monsanto for a couple words on his victory. Monsanto, can you hear us?
Yes. Hello.
Great. So overall, the games were ending pretty quickly, I would say. They're pretty lopsided back and forth. Do you have any thoughts on the series from your end, your perspective?
I mean, I kind of predicted him to queue Priest first, and I know Mage against Priest isn't great, but it's fine, and it's my best deck against Priest other than the Priest Mirror, so I decided to try to start with Mage, and it actually paid off. I drew enough of my good cards to be able to deal with all he had to offer, and from that point, I knew I had to win just basically Priest against Shaman, and that's very favorable. So I was in a super good spot.
Got it. So let's go back to that Reno Mage game. You played the Zephyrus, the coin Zephyrus into SI7 Agent. That was a play that we weren't expecting. I'm just going to ask, was that exactly the card you're looking for, the SI, when you coined pre-Zephyrus?
Yeah. Yeah, I was looking for SI because I had Voodoo Doll and Polymorph in my hand. So I knew I was able to deal with big minions. All I needed was to not fall behind on tempo, and SI was the perfect card for that. So that game went fairly well. I just had all the answers. As soon as he doesn't deal with Doomsayer, the game's with the cards I had was basically over.
Yeah, I mean, we were kind of acknowledging that too. What convinced you to bring Reno Mage this week? You were the only player in Americas to do so.
I decided to give it a shot, first on ladder, and then I went 10-0 with it. So I tried it more intensively, against myself and ETC and real matchups. And ETC wasn't convinced, but I was. The deck's pretty fine against Druid. It destroys Warrior. And it's actually maybe favored, if not 50-50 against Priest. So that was pretty good.
It's interesting because variants of this priest were first brought to try to beat the mages back in Seoul just a few weeks ago. What do you think makes it so much better against priest now? Is it just that we learned the matchup better, or is it the techs that are different?
Well, first of all, Country's Calling and Luna's Pocket Galaxy were completely irrelevant, so like the nerfs didn't change anything for Mage, but the extra arms was like the best card for priest in that matchup. So like the matchup got better for Mage. Also, once Samdi, like any deck that's trying to go later in the game, like priest got like better in the late game, but that's playing in Mage territory where Mage is actually even better. And so the matchup got better for Mage. I'm playing Voodoo Doll, Polymorph, Zephyrus, Reno, so there's a bunch of removal.
Yeah, got it. Well, it lines up with a little bit of my testing because I jammed a few of your games. I didn't go 10-0 though. I went 11-0.
Good job, Ryan.
Thank you. Thank you. It may or may not be fudged in the numbers a little bit. All right, any last questions here from Monsanto?
I don't know if you can answer this because it might give too much away, but maybe you can give some insight. You went with a no Shaman list.
Yeah, weren't you the one telling us Shaman was the best deck in the game?
It seemed like that
it
was
was
you.
a bait.
Was
Monsanto's on next level with interviews.
Was that a massive bait?
No, it's actually like last week I think it was the best deck, but this week everything got refined and like people are bringing the standard lineup that everyone's expecting was Warrior, Priest, Druid, and Shaman. And Shaman's actually not doing that great. There's only one good matchup, and it's against Warrior in that lineup. So I just felt it was the weakest deck of all four, and Mage was just slightly better.
Interesting.
Okay.
Fair enough. Pretty straightforward. Monsanto, I feel like you've been firing on cylinders. Even though your record isn't showing the true dominance that you did in Season 1, I think you're definitely on the upswing. Congrats on your victory, and good luck later this weekend.
Thank you. See ya.